Thanks for having me. This is an important conversation, especially today when student behavior, social media, and school discipline often overlap in complicated ways. Leaders in education are faced with the difficult task of navigating situations that have both legal and ethical implications. One crucial part of this responsibility is understanding students' constitutional rights, which are rooted in the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution. These rights grant public school students rights of freedom of speech, protection from unreasonable searches, and the right to due process. But it is also important to understand that these rights are not unlimited. Let us begin with historical and legal foundational information. The U.S. Supreme Court clarified this in the 1969 case of Tinker versus Des Moines. The court ruled that students do have the right to freedom of expression at school, but that right can be limited if the speech causes a substantial disruption to the school environment. In other cases, such as Goss versus Lopez and New Jersey versus TLO, courts have clarified how due process and search and seizure protections apply in school environments. Now, you may be wondering, does the type of school matter when it comes to how these rights apply? Absolutely. In public school, constitutional protections are fully enforced because these schools are government funded. Charter schools, while publicly funded, may follow different rules depending on the state regulations. Private schools are generally not bound by the Constitution unless they receive federal funding. In these contexts, the boundaries of school authority can become vague, and school leaders must be particularly cautious about overreaching their legal authority. A major and ongoing legal issue today involves off campus student speech on social media. Yes, social media. This is especially tricky because the lines between personal expression and school disruption have become blurred. On one hand, school administrators argue that off campus posts, even when made on a student's personal time, can lead to problems at school, including cyberbullying, threats, or damage to school climate. On the other hand, student right advocates argue that punishing students for such speech violates their First Right Amendment, especially if the speech doesn't occur on school grounds or during school time. This exact issue was central in the 2021 Supreme Court case Mahoney Area School District versus BL. In this case, a high school cheerleader was removed from the team after posting a profanity-laced message on Snapchat from off campus. The court ruled in her favor, citing that while schools may regulate some off campus speech, their authority is not unlimited. The decision affirmed that personal off campus speech, even if negative of school authorities, is protected under the First Amendment unless it causes a significant disruption at school. As an educational leader myself, I believe it's crucial to balance protecting students' rights while maintaining a safe school environment. Any disciplinary action for online behavior must be legally sound and equivalent based on clear policies rather than reacting with emotions. Schools should take a proactive role in educating students about digital citizenship and responsible online behavior. Rather than simply punishing students, we should use restorative practices that promote accountability and personal growth. Ultimately, upholding students' constitutional rights is not just a legal obligation, it is a moral one that models the principles of a fair and just society. Thank you again for having me.